Hi everyone, I am Sandhya, Department of Mathematics. Today we are going to see about the graph representation. We can represent a graph in the form of adjacency with a very useful in computer programming. This adjacency matrix is very useful to the computer programming. Adjacency of a matrix is a simple graph. Here we know the graph is having a vertices and edges in a simple graph with n vertices, that is naming as v1 to vn. It is adjacency matrix is denoted by A equal to the square matrix of Aij. Here 1, if there exists any edge, it is denoted by 1, otherwise it is called as 0. Okay, so if it is an edge between the two vertices is denoted by 1, otherwise it is a 0. Okay, here we see find the adjacency matrix and degree of the each vertices of the given graph. First we have to see the first one. In this first graph, the adjacency matrix is the edge between the two vertices is denoted by 1, otherwise it is a 0. So here there are 4 vertices and 4 vertices. So in this 4 vertices is naming as v1, v2, v3. We form a matrix. So v1, v2, v3, v4 and v1, v2, v3, v4. Here see v1 and v1 is no comma in edge. So here v1 is 0 and v2 is 0 and v3 is 0, v4 is 0. Here we move on in v1 to v2. So we put 1. Next v1 to v3 similarly 1. So v1 to v4 there is no edge, we put 0. Okay, next v2 to v1 there is an edge, so we put 0. v2 to v2 no edge, so we put 0. Already I know. Okay, so here v2 to v3 there is no edge, so we put 0. v2 to v4 there is an edge, so we put 1. Okay, so similarly we want to find the v3 and v4. v3 to v1 is 1 and v3 to v4 is 1, remaining is 0. Okay, next v4 is 0 and v4 to v3 and v4 to v2 is 1, remaining values are 0. So similarly we go through the second one. In the second one graph, the graph is it is a directed graph. In this directed graph v1 here also v1, v2, v3, v4 and v1, v2, v3, v4. Okay, here v1 to v2 is an edge. Okay, so v1 to v3 also edge, but it is an v2 to v3. So see the direction, so we put 0. Okay, so here only one edge is between v1 to v2. Similarly we go through the v2. In this v2 to v3 is edge, otherwise remaining all the values is 0. Okay, so this is the adjacency matrix. In this adjacency matrix the edge between the vertices, it is denoted by 1, otherwise it is a 0. Okay, next we move on the degree of the each vertex. In this first diagram, the degree of the vertices is degree of v1 is 2. Similarly, the degree of v2 is also 2, v3 is also 2 and v4 is also 2. Okay, so here also v1 is 1, 2, v2 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here see 4. Okay, so next we move on the another one is that is the disjoint matrix. In this disjoint or incident matrix, in this incident matrix is denoted by G of v comma e, an undirected graph with n vertices naming as v1 to vn and edges as e1 to em. Then n cross m is a matrix b equal to bij, where here the bij is 1 when edge ej is incident to vi is denoted by 1, otherwise it is a 0. Okay, so here also see the two graph, find the incident of the matrix for the following. Here also there are v1, v2, v3, v4. Here the edges as mentioned, so e1 to e5 there are 5 edges as there. Okay, so here we form the matrix v1 to v2, v3, v4 and e1, e2, e3, e4, e5. Okay, so v1 to e1 there is an edge, so we put 1. v1 to e2 there is no edge, so we put 0. v1 to e3 there is no edge, so we put 0. V1 to E4 there is an incident, so we put 1. So E1 to E5 0. Okay, so again similarly we go through the V2 here. V2 to E1 is 1, V2 to E2 also 1. So remaining V2 to E4 and V2 to E3 and V2 to E5 are all the values are 0. Okay, next V3 to V1. V3 to V1 is E1. V3 to E1 is 0. So V3 to E2 1. V3 to E3 1. V3 to E4 0. V3 to VE5 1. Okay, so V4 to E1 0. V4 to E2 also 0. V4 to E3 is 1. V4 to E4 is 1. V4 to E5 is 0. Okay, so this is the incident matrix. So next here see, for the second graph some directions are given. So in this direction we that is the out degree we mention -1, otherwise it is +1. Here see the first no, that here the vertices is naming as 1 2 3 4. Okay, so here we put as 1 2 3 4 and E1 E2 E3 E4. Here 1 to E1, so 1. Okay, here 1 to E2 there is no edge, 0. So E1 to E3, so here we put -1. So 1 2 to E4, here 4 also -1. 1 to E5 there is no edge, so we put 0. And 1 to E5 there is no edge, we put 0. So similarly see the node 4, in this node 4 to E1 there is no connection, we put 0. And 4 to E2 we put -1. And remaining all the entries are 0 except 4 to E6 is there is we put 1. So this is the incident matrix. So remaining topic we are see in the next class. Thank you.